everybody, my name is Elisabet Garcia. I'm a fifth-year anthropology major here at UCSC, and I studied abroad 3 times. I studied in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil for a semester. I did the field research program in Ciudad de Mexico and in Oaxaca for 1 semester as well, and I studied for 1 year at the Catholic University in Santiago, Chile. My study abroad experiences as a first-generation college student from a low-income background and as a queer Latina has been very interesting. And each program offered like a new series of personal development, not only for my personal life, but also my academic life as well. So my first study abroad experience was in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. It was also my first time traveling ever. The only previous travel experience I had was going to Mexico once when I was a little girl to visit family, and that was it. That's all I knew. So going on this study abroad for the first time was a really big awakening in my interest with travel and like international education. While I was there, I suffered from imposter syndrome. I know we all kind of feel it sometimes because it can be a struggle being a student, having this certain background, being a first-generation student and being low income. We kind of feel inadequate, so I definitely felt that while I studied abroad, and I let that get the best of me. So it was really unfortunate. So my time in Brazil was really great, but it was affected by this feeling of inadequacy, this feeling of imposter syndrome. I just kind of really locked myself in my apartment a lot of the time, and I didn't go out and experience a lot of the things that the city and the culture and the people of Rio de Janeiro had to offer me and had offered to teach me as well. So that was unfortunate. The experience as a international student for the first time in this setting in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, in South America was very interesting because I felt like my background and my experience wasn't comparable to a lot of the other international students that were there. The only other students I can really connect to were the other students from the other UCs. So there were about 20 of us, and a lot of us had similar backgrounds, again, being first generation, being Latinx, being the first ones to go to college, and some of us being low income. We were all able to like relate on that level, but again, we were only 20 out of 200 students. And the rest of the students tended to be all wealthy, mostly coming from Europe and from Latin America, and they all tended to be white, and we just had different perspectives on life, and we had different backgrounds, so of course that affected the way we perceived the world around us, so it did cause some tension. So that was what my first experience was like. But that's just me. Everybody else has their own unique experience with study abroad, and what inspired me to want to continue this journey and continue with international education despite feeling this imposter syndrome was seeing that my fellow colleagues, like the other UC students who also have similar backgrounds, they didn't let that get in the way of them enjoying their study abroad experience. They were living their best life, and I really wanted to be like that. I really wanted to experience that kind of joy that they were experiencing. So they inspired me to apply for other study abroad programs, which I did, which is how I ended up in Mexico and Chile as well. So my study abroad experience in Mexico was actually really cool. It was a very different experience compared to my time in Brazil. It was very unique because this was a kind of a homecoming for me. My grandparents are actually from Mexico. And a lot of the other students who were also in the Mexico programs, we also all had some kind of tie with either Latin America or Mexico in itself. So either the students were actually from there, or they crossed through there, or their parents were from there, or their grandparents were there. We all had some type of connection with the country. And it was really nice to be able to share that with a community while I was there. It was a really beautiful experience, like a group homecoming, like we all came home together. So it was really nice to have people where I can share my experiences with them, and we were able to understand each other's backgrounds and point of view. So it was very beautiful. I really enjoyed my time in Mexico, and I can't wait to go back. So I feel that my study abroad in Mexico was a type of preparation for my time in Chile, which was my last study abroad. I was there for a year, and it was also very special to me because I am a multicultural Latina, so I have Mexican roots and Chilean roots. And Mexico prepared me for Chile, and it helped me prepare with the linguistic aspect because I didn't really grow up speaking Spanish perfectly at all. And by the time I left Mexico, I was introduced on how to read, write, and speak in an academic way. So it really prepared me for studying at the university in Chile. Yeah. Chile was another really big type of homecoming for me, and it was my first time ever going to the country. It was the first time really learning about that part of my cultural background and history. It was also the first time I was able to meet my family. We've been separated for about like 30 to 50 years since my grandparents had to leave. So it was very special to me to be able to go there and to learn about my family history, well, the country's history, how that affected my family's history, and how that's affected me personally. It was a very unique and interesting experience. And in my free time, I actually did my own personal investigation and research. I went to go find my missing family members. I sat down with them. I conducted interviews. I study anthropology, so I did like my little ethnographic notebook, and I took down data to make a family tree. And now, so many of us who have been scattered all throughout the Americas, we've been lost to each other for so many years. We've been able to reconnect. So the way I was able to do this was by studying abroad in Chile for a year. I used that as a tool to be able to do this other really important project to me, which was find my family and reconnect with them. So it was very special to me. And it wouldn't have been possible without, the opportunity of engaging in international education. So it was really great. And like I mentioned earlier, Mexico definitely prepared me for the whole Chile experience. And before that, it was actually Brazil that inspired me to want to go on this journey, to want to reach out and have a more fulfilled, study abroad experience, and to want to be able to enjoy it. So each country gave me something special. Brazil introduced me to the international education world and inspired me to want more out of it. Now that I had that whole imposter syndrome thing out of the way, I went to Mexico and I was able to share my first homecoming with other students like me who also went there to learn about, their culture and their roots and reconnect with their family and community. And that really prepared me for going back to Chile, which was my first time ever being there and being able to do this larger project that I had in mind. So, each experience was unique, and every student's experience is going to be unique. If you have the opportunity to engage in international education, I highly recommend it because you can really do what you'd like with it. You can cater it to whatever you're looking to develop in your life. For me personally, I'm a heritage seeker, so that was my big goal for these study abroad experiences, and I was able to do it. So, yeah, that's pretty much my study abroad story.